I can see someone else have their video on. Thank you. Yes, we like it when we see people's faces. So good evening, everybody. So please, we would like everyone to please introduce themselves in the chat box. Tell us your name, what you do. If you're a student, tell us if you're a student. If you're currently in, if you're a student, tell us if you're a student. If you're working, tell us what your job is and tell us your location. So please, can we have people do that in the chat box, please? Tell us your name, your location, and where you're calling from. Oh, hi, Michelle. I can see you. Hi, everybody. So please tell us your name in the chat box. Can we all see the chat window? Tell us your name, what you do, and your location. Please, if you can hear me, can you say you can hear me? Because now I'm beginning to feel like not.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Cool. So please tell us your name, your description, and your location. So I can see Michelle, DevOps from London. Cool. So please, while you do the introduction, I will just crack on the thing. Yes, okay, we have Wasiu, who's a teacher from Ogun State, great. We have Bashar, a farmer from Ibadan, lovely, cool. We have Oida, hi. We have Chinedu Bank from Lagos, cool. We have Dafe, grad student from Ibadan, awesome. That's really good. So, cool, okay, thank you everyone for joining. We have Diri, cybersecurity and privacy consultant from Minneapolis. I hope I got that correct. Wow, thank you for joining. We have Wale Olabisi, IT support, Kwale. We have Chukudi from Lagos, Nigeria. Oyindamola Timidapo. So cool. It's a very diverse audience. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Ajay, please go to the next slide. Ajay, you're on mute. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Thank you. So tonight, I'll just be taking us through what we're going to be covering today and how it's going to go. So the welcome, I'm going to be sharing that, the reason why we're having this webinar today. Also, after that, IJ is going to be coming up and sharing her journey about her tech career journey, how she moved from electrical engineering. She moved from electrical engineering into coding, because a lot of people have questions about coding, into cybersecurity, and then into cloud. So she's got a very unique career journey, and it will be very nice for you to hear her story. She will also tell you about career opportunities in cybersecurity, tell you about the cloud, next generation technology. And then most importantly, we're going to be having a session for questions and answers. So as she's speaking, if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat box so you don't forget, and they'll be going over everything. Right, so that's what we're going to be doing. So welcome once again, everyone. Yeah, I can see Amanda from Enugu, a civil servant. Okay, cool, thanks. So my name is Bimsola Ojo, and I currently work as a cloud DevOps engineer in Accenture UK. And the whole idea of doing this webinar session, I don't know if there are people that are here that were in the last webinar, but we started last month, and then I had a webinar session just sharing my career journey and talking about product management, which was handled by Toby. So yes, the vision is to actually share knowledge and share expertise with the wide audience in Nigeria, because that's majorly what we have. Like, even though IJ and I are currently in the UK, we grew up in Nigeria, we schooled in Nigeria. I went to University of Ibadan, and I just moved here about 3 years ago. And we're very passionate about developing youth in Nigeria. We believe that Nigeria should be the future. Nigeria should be ahead in technology and in all those things, because technology is something you can learn from the confines of your room. So the whole idea is that we're going to be featuring people from time to time that are doing cool in different countries, and they're going to be sharing their experience with you that are back home in Nigeria. So just stay tuned, because there's going to be so many lovely sessions coming up. So that's the vision. It's really about empowerment and really about, you know, sharing our knowledge in the way that we can with the wider Nigerian youth, so that you guys can be ready for the future as well. So I'll just hand over to IJ, who is going to start talking about her career journey. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Wemi. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you all can see and hear me properly. I can talk a bit fast, so if I'm like getting too fast, I say, IJ, that's fast. I'm not hearing you again. So, as Wemi has said, I'm IJ. Ijoma Atichukwu is the full name, but IJ is like generally what I'm called. I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, as you know from my name, if you are Nigerian, and particularly from Anambra State. I kind of like put these pictures around showing, like, you know, where I'm from and what I've done so far and where I hope to be, right? So on the left-hand side, you have my lovely face. Today is my birthday. Thank you for all those who are here that have wished me happy birthday. And you know, it's a lovely time coming all through, thinking about my career and my life. I did my be a bachelor in engineering in Futo. If you're from Futo, just kind of say hi on the chat. Like just say we're here, like my people are here. I did my electrical electronics engineering.
Hi.
And thank you. And I moved on from after engineering, I went into coding. So after my NYSC, I kind of like started trying out what coding looks like. That's why I kind of put this picture down here saying, you know, I went to coding. And from there, I did my master's in Royal Holloway Information Security. I loved my master's. It's one of my best periods in life, like best, superb, right? And I moved into the industry. So my first day in Accenture was when I met Wemi, and she was so lovely. She's such a lovely lady. We just like clicked like that. And one of the things I've noticed is that, you know, why I have this picture in the lower left corner here about the lady in the red is just like, you know, almost times as a lady in tech, as a black in tech, you're usually the only person standing out as a minority. So sometimes you're always the only lady in the room, only black in the room, only whatever in the room. So yeah, so you kind of like that stand out. You always notice it. And then I kind of put fried rice and chicken. It's not my favorite food, but I love to cook. So I just wanted to show you like I love to cook. Like I'm not a nerd. I don't know why they put that IT people, hackers are a nerd. I'm not a nerd. I love to cook. And in terms of like what I'm aspiring to be, so I really want to kind of get more techie girl.
Flex.
I want to be a mentor to upcoming generation of blacks in security. As I said, most times, I kid you not, in my current team, I think I'm the only black person. Like we don't see ourselves. I want to have someone else that, you know, at least knows like jollof rice or, you know, like chicken and good turkey. You know, when you're talking about things like that, person is not looking at you like, what's that? And then I want to become a chief cloud and information security advisor to C-suite board. So I don't want to be someone who is stuck up in a black room coding. I want to talk to C-suite guys. So that's kind of like me overview. And then I just want to kind of like go deep into how I moved from engineering to coding, right? That was my first step into IT. So I love this picture in the middle. Like it's super, like that's just why I started with PHP. Was my first start, and literally was like I left. I was in uni. We did like MATLAB. If you're an engineering student here, you probably had a MATLAB. And you know, it was like it should be a programming course, but it was just kind of like la cram la pour. Like I passed the course. I think I even got an A. But I really can't remember anything that was taught in that course in terms of engineering and programming wise. So I finished it and I kind of felt, you know, I love this course. I was kind of known for liking the course, but I didn't actually know anything about the course, to be fair. And I asked a very good friend of mine, unfortunately he's late, David, to like, you know, take me through programming. He was really a very good person in programming, like super good. And he was like, oh yeah, I just sure you're my friend, you know, but so you can appreciate the programming, you know, pay 1,000 Naira. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'm paying you 1,000 Naira, teach me programming. And I kid you not, like the first 2 lessons, I think it was just 2 lessons we had, I slept off. I was like sleeping off. So when I was done, I was like, do I really want to do programming or not? But I kind of figured that maybe it's something that I need to kind of like learn on my own and break and tear. So why did I go to it? IT is the future. I literally saw it then that if you think about what companies is like the first 10 companies in the world ranking before in terms of reach and assets and everything, we used to have like Coca-Cola, Motorola, you know, Mercedes-Benz, those kind of like products firms, right? If you look at it now, it's Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, who is the richest guy on earth, started with his laptop and, you know, in one computer. It wasn't a laptop, it was a computer in like one very little room. And now he's like, the guy is swimming in money. So I literally saw it as IT is the future. It was like the next thing. And I thought I would just like it. One of the things I want us to go out with here is that even if you don't want to be in IT, be in what you want to be in, as in follow your passion, like go for it. If you want to be in IT, go for it. If you want to be in engineering, if you want to be in medical, if you want to be anywhere, farming, go for it with everything, but leverage IT. IT is like the future, it's the next gen, leverage it. I did a lot of self-teaching. So I literally went, I'll be sharing resources later in these slides, but I, went online, W3 School, Code Academy, was just trying to kind of like find where to learn stuff from. And I took up a personal project. That's one of the key ways to get into IT quickly. My dad has a hospital and he didn't have a website. And I was like, you know what? How can, we graduate, my sister is an engineer, I'm an engineer. And I was like, it doesn't just sound nice if we just come out of school and my dad doesn't have a good website, nothing, zero. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should actually take up that, right? Learn how to code and, use that and practice. So I started learning I started like designing the website, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, just going for it. And while I was doing that, I got my first job. I want to say this when, because most of us, like from the review, from the forms that was submitted for this call, most of us we are like left school, we are graduates, we're working. You can learn IT at any time. It just requires your computer and like, yourself. It's literally like that. So, and internet possibly, if you need to browse stuff. So I did learn it after school and I'm still using it till now. In fact, one of the very, very distinctive factors about IJ in security in Accenture is that IJ is a techie person. It's actually a good thing for me. It helps me a lot. I'll tell you later. And it gave me my first job and it gave me a lot of transferable skills. And I'll be talking about in my next slide, right? So I wanted to kind of just highlight like I'm not going to drain this slide, no way, but I'm going to just highlight key stuff that that kind of passed on over time, which is my story. Every experience is an asset. There's nothing that is not important. So if I really, really want to give you a very good, like honest to God answer on my engineering and security experience, I would say that the two of them are very mirror-like in the fact that engineering is very applicable. Like engineers are not scientists. Scientists will come with this very, this very massive formula, it can do these 101 things. And engineer is like, it's not practical, right? We can't do that. Like, it's not possible. So it's the same way for security. Security is like, the IT guys, the coding guys come like, oh, you know what? We can just drop this in cloud. We can just do this, do that, make this application blah. And the security guy is like, that's not secure, So that's how it was for me. Like that transferability of applicability kind of followed me from engineering, and I love security because of that. So a bit of my history, very short history, and I really like the fact that my history is quite short because it also shows that you can rise quickly in IT. That's one of the things that we need to know, like IT, you don't need to. So one of the things I realized as I'm in the industry in IT is that you come into IT and I know security very well. Security is my thing. And you just meet, one guy who has been maybe 20 years ago, he's been using Fortran, COBOL, Unix. But IT moves very quickly. So you come into the client side and he's like, oh, you know what, I've done Fortran, I've done COBOL. I'm like, I came for security. That's what I came for. So it's like, it's very rapid, it's very transferable. But when you know your stuff, you know your stuff. So for me, I did a bit of network engineering internship. That's really helped me in my cloud though. Network engineering, visual, a bit of teamwork there. My maths and computer instructor time during NYSC was one of my best experience that helped me in getting my Accenture job in UK. I literally got into the assessment center, so the interview, and I was like drawing on the board and writing on the board. The MD, the managing director who interviewed me, was shocked. He always remembers the interview, like IJ was writing for me. For me, it's like, I had some people actually ask the question, like, how do you prepare for jobs and stuff like that in IT? I would say, be passionate and be yourself. Because I literally came in there and I was like, I know this, I know that. And this is how I teach my students when I was teaching them maths. I did a lot of software. I did software engineering for 1 year and a bit of 1 year. So that involved that's where I did like core coding, MySQL, PHP, and I want to say I actually learned Python on my own. It's one of my best programming language I learned that is very transferable. I learned it during time. I wasn't coding Python. I was just learning Python on my own. And then it's in Accenture, I've moved from analyst to consultant in 1.5 years. I've moved between cybersecurity, cloud, and like working like across different industries. I want to highlight my challenges because, to be fair, it's not been like superwoman journey. It's not at all. One of the things I really find challenging at times is imposter syndrome. I don't know if any of you know what imposter syndrome is, but it's a bit of like feeling that you're appearing a bit fake. It's like fake it till you make it kind of syndrome. Like you feel like I'm not too real. I'm not so sure. I'm not so confident. And it happens a lot because, you come, as I said, my current clients, I come into the team and I'm the youngest. Like I'm the only millennial, like probably there. I'm one of that intern guy. And I'm like, they ask me, what's your role? I'm like, I'm an AWS security expert. They're like, sorry, can you repeat yourself? How old are you? Where are you getting your security? Do you know I did Unix 10 years ago? I did Linux, I did COBOL. I'm like, I don't care. I know security, you don't. So one of the things I've really, struggled with, and I think it's one of the things that we need to like get to the point of saying, don't, you will meet a lot in IT because you meet these old guys. And it happens maybe because being a different culture, which is one of the things I wrote, integrating a new culture, being the only black in the room. It happens a lot for us in Nigeria, this white guy comes in and he's just like, blah, 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 you're like, shut up. Whereas he might not even making sense, but the imposter of, oh, maybe he knows more than me. I don't know so much. So one of the things I've learned is like, I know my stuff. I come with what I know. So Wemi is DevOps. Wemi knows DevOps like very well. I can come to Wemi and be screaming DevOps on her. But if I come with my security, I'm going to be telling Wemi, this is how you apply security in DevOps. If Wemi wants to do her DevOps, that's fine, but this is how you do security. So knowing your stuff, knowing what you know. So I know cloud. You don't come with your stories for me. I'm going to tell you what cloud is. That's just, so I don't know your Linux, your Unix, I do a bit of Linux. I don't know your COBOL. But that's not necessary. That's what I need now is security. So that's one of the very key challenges we face. And I think it's a lot, like we face a lot, especially when we kind of meet people that we feel know more, they might not actually know more. We do have lack of diversity, only woman in the room. Are you technical? Can you really code? Unconscious bias is really massive here. It's probably not something you will see so much in Nigeria, but it's massive here. And then integrating into new culture. And I just want to kind of like highlight some very like key roles in security. I think what I want to point out in this slide, so I don't want to like call out all the things in the slide, but I want to just kind of point out that security is one of the areas where you don't need to know how to code. It's like, you don't even need to know how to code. So I would explain to you. So when you say penetration tester, it's like your ethical hacker. That's the person you call a hacker. Whenever I say I'm cybersecurity, so I say, oh, can you hack my laptop? No, I can't, but fair enough. So security is one place where you don't need to code. This legal and compliance officer guy down here, he might just have LLB in law. Like he might have zilch in coding, but is he important? He's super important. And I always give this very good example. I don't know if, I know we do have a lot of Yahoo issues in Nigeria. But one of the things that is happening here in this country, and it's going to probably transfer down to Nigeria sometime, is that you're in a scenario where they transfer money to someone and it doesn't get to the person. You can actually sue the bank here somehow. Like say, what, I transferred this money, it didn't get to the person, where's my money, And if they don't have a good legal person to defend them, they're gonna have to refund that money. So security person, somehow you need a legal person that's gonna defend you, because somehow maybe it's a security glitch. Maybe one Yahoo guy broke in between the communication and stole the money, but it's not our fault. It's not my fault. I transferred the money. I thought your application was secure. It wasn't. Not my fault. So you also have like the cyber risk manager. That person can be any human being. It can be someone that even did food science. It doesn't need to be any. Just once you know how to, you know how to think about risk and probability of something happening. Security is one place where you have like very massive coders, which is like maybe the penetration testing person, the security sysadmin person, like, massive black, that's view of security, the guy that sits inside a room and everything. But you also have someone that's like, straight talking guy and the rest. So it's one area, it's one of the places I encourage people to, to kind of like get into, because security is like the next gen stuff. It's part of the things that are going to come into Nigeria lots more quicker than we think. I would quickly go into the next slide. I just wanted to kind of like highlight the life of a cybersecurity professional quickly, but I would not drain it. I would not drain it at all. I want to just show you how they kind of intertwine, but not necessarily very coding person. So the security analyst person is the one who kind of like is in charge of security policy, standards, governance. So most times I always tell people, anytime if you're banking, if you have a bank, First Bank, GT Bank, whatever bank in Nigeria, ask them whether they have a security policy. They need to have one. They need to state how they are protecting your money, anyhow they're doing with the applications. Ask them, like literally, this is one of our ways to get a job. Like if you ask someone and they don't have an answer, they might just not have it. And maybe you can just find a way to consult and tell them, you know what, you might need it and stuff like that. So this security analyst starts her day, she checks her email, typical IJ, you know, on how she's asking a client is asking how best do you implement their security policies, you know, and she kind of like is responding to that client, but she's also trying to contact the security architect. The security architect guy is like a design guy. He might not even have done security, he might not even have done computer science at all, but he just likes design of networks and the rest, you know. So she asks him and he's like, I'm going to give you these documents. She pings the penetration tester person just to remind him that, you know what, you need to test this application. I want to mention something about penetration testing because that's whenever we say ethical hacking, that's where they come in. A penetration tester is like a white hacker, like we call it a white hat hacker. Like they are legit people. They're not trying to like they're not trying to break into your system and steal your money. They are trying to like find out what faults are in your system so that they can help you fix it. So they are the ones that tend to be very, very coding and all the breaking stuffs. Most times the security incident manager is the one that is always like monitoring things. So one of the things too, you also have to ask about, like, do they have any security monitoring equipment? How do they know if someone is robbing the bank now? Because if there is no security monitoring in a bank in terms of knowing what, like, whether things are happening, maybe their data is being stolen or something like that, things are just going to get missing in that bank, like, or in that hospital or whatever, and it's just going to disappear and no one will know that it was ever stolen. And one of the things you always remember about data stealing is that when data is stolen, it's not missing, it's just someone else has copied it anyway. It's still there, but you know, someone has copied it. And then you have the legal and risk manager, who is always the forefront firefighter person. I don't know if you guys have like followed this COVID-19 situation, but if you kind of watch different countries reporting and, you know, when their presidents are standing up, you need like these kind of people who are just like, you know, they are the good talking people. They're always like telling you the risk and they're always giving you like very good, like they have the high sounding buzzword message. Most times always the legal and risk manager. They tend to find out, you know, where are we missing it and how do we organize our messaging. And then I move on to the next, so I'm just kind of going to the next gen. So the next gen technology, I really want to talk about this because it's quite key. So in terms of next gen technology, I think, first of all, I want to see if I could, can I try this? I want to show you this map first before I go to that slide. So AWS, I don't know if everyone have heard of AWS, Amazon Web Services. They're like one of the biggest players in cloud. AWS have regions like where their data centers currently are. And if you look at this map, this is a map of the world. And if you notice this blue, so these blue regions are like, these blue circles are where they currently are. So Ireland, you know, you have the Canada Central, you know, you have the Gulf Cloud, Ohio, you have Sao Paulo, and you have coming soon. So regions that are going to be launched. You see Cape Town, you see Africa has none. In fact, that's the first thing I noticed whenever they show any layer of the map. Whether it's AWS or Azure or GCP, I'm like, what is Africa? We have none. We don't have a region. Like AWS, as big as AWS is, they don't have a data center in Africa. So it shows you that even though cloud is very popular in all these places, just check out how small Europe is and check out how many regions they have there. In Africa, we have nothing. It's coming soon. It's been coming soon since like 1 year ago, but hopefully it comes. But I want just to tell you how next gen cloud is to Africa and why we need to kind of like latch onto it and be like an expert if you want to as soon as possible. because it's going to hit Africa. When it hits Africa, they're going to need people that are going to run these data centers. They're going to need people that are going to attend to Africa clients. And I was just like, sometimes we always say, oh, it's not coming yet. We're not seeing it yet. But to be fair, the way we got our passport system to become biometric was because of 9/11. So even if Africa is not leading, when other countries and other continents start leading, we've got to kind of like catch up and follow. So cloud is like the next gen stuff for now. If we are not in it yet, and people start taking things to cloud, which is what we're going to see from this COVID-19 situation at the aftermath. People are working from home. You can no more access that data center. So that's your servers and racks. You can access them again on your premises. You've got to go to the cloud to access from after COVID-19, the next thing is going to be, how do we move and migrate our workloads, our data, our things to the cloud, so that it's not in a particular building, just in case the government shuts down travel, like they've done in Lagos and Abuja and many states in Nigeria, and prevents people from going to work. How do we access our data? How do we still work together? Cloud is like the next thing. So if you've got the time, if you've got the capacity, if you've got the passion, I would advise, like, go and find out, go and learn about cloud. It's going to come to Africa, whether we like it or not. And because we can only lead from the front. If you know something, we have like very key players: AWS, Azure. Azure is Microsoft Cloud. AWS is Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud. And then we have DevOps. I put DevOps here because DevOps and cloud are like very intertwined. So it's like that's how things are going now. Things are going fast. And even if we're kind of like still in the coding stage, because I know like everybody you hear about IT, they think coding is not be or end all. Like, it's not. And in cloud, you actually don't need coding, to be fair. You literally can do cloud without coding. So I'll be sharing resources after this slide. So, to where to can find things and everything. But we have data analytics. I know a lot of people in Nigeria are always shouting data analytics. One thing I know Nigerians are pretty much interested in: data science, data analytics, big data, Hadoop, and stuff like that. The reason why big data is actually important is because of cloud. So how does it intertwine, right? Like, you have a cloud, so cloud can process like massive amount of data beyond what you could just process in your little apartment, right? With your data, you're getting from all forms of places. You're getting from the bank, you're getting from the Internet of Things, every single thing. Your data can be processed quickly and results gotten from the data. So from the data you get, analyzing big data and the rest, you go into artificial intelligence, which is predicting what is going to come next based on the data. That's if you follow COVID-19, if you follow US and all their talk, you kind of hear them talking about modeling. How do we model, what's going to be the next, how many number of deaths, or, they change the model today, they change the model tomorrow. It's artificial intelligence. It's like, I've got the data from this place, and I'm going to push it into my artificial intelligence systems and find out and figure out, when do we open? Maybe March 10, maybe May 10, maybe it's June 11. When do we open? What's likely? And then you get blockchain. I know most of you know Bitcoin is like everyone. I think most Nigerians were on Bitcoin last year. It was ridiculous. My whole Facebook timeline was Bitcoin. But it's not only Bitcoin that's in blockchain. In fact, blockchain's biggest use is not Bitcoin. It's actually like the World Health Organization's deployment of Africa, fingerprinting and knowing Africans. Like, how do you identify people in Africa to make sure that no one collects more than they should collect when the World Health is distributing resources? Because we don't have a good identification in Nigeria, but we don't know everybody in Nigeria by default. Blockchain helps you to do a lot of identification things without revealing people's whole information. Blockchain is coming up. It's one of the things, if there's one area I've realized that we don't have so much expertise on in the UK and in many places, is blockchain. It's massive. It's going to be used mainly by the government. Nigeria's government is going to be dragged along, whether they like it or not. My last slide before we get to questions. Wimi, how am I doing in time?
Yes, I think we have about 2 more minutes.
Great. So, almost there. So I've kind of like listed a bit of potential resources that I used, and these are great resources I used anyway. I just kind of listed as potential just because you might not like it. So one of the things I would advise is know your study pattern. Someone like me, if I want to learn something new, I need a book. It mustn't be a big book. It can be 40 pages, 86 pages. I'm reading DevSecOps. And when you're in DevOps, I'm reading the DevOps with security. And I had like this 86 pages book and I'm just reading it. I love to read from books. I love to learn from books. But if you're someone that loves videos, you can also try that route. So know what it is that you kind of, how best you kind of connect with it. Because especially if you're in the professional world, it's so hard to upskill. Like, guys, ladies, upskill. Like, don't just be stuck in, I used to do Cisco before. Cisco is moving fast. Like, there are other firewalls out there, like Palo Alto, there are other things coming up. Like, just be in the know. Like, even if you're not writing anything about it, even if you're not writing certification, even if you're not going that area, just be in the know, upskill. So I started out with coding, so W3 School, Code Academy, tutorials, points, LinkedIn Learning. They have like this trial, 30 days trial. I used to learn Excel, VBA, Visual Basic. I was like, wow, this is such an old technology. Like, who is learning VBA at this time? But my client needed it, so I had to learn Excel, VBA for 30 days and coded something for them. So I use that a lot. MIT and Harvard have free courses. That's actually how I started learning Python, was from MIT. Very wonderful course they had there. I love Morak's book on Java and Python, Java particularly, because I was struggling a lot with Java, especially when you come from PHP background and Python background, which is quite flexible, and you come to Java, it's quite hard, and I was struggling a bit. Morak's book really helped me. The JetBrain ID is one of, I think it's faults me a lot, but I love it because it like does all your code analysis. It gives you a very nice platform to do stuff, and it has a community version which is quite free. All IT Books is like this very nice websites where I go to download all my 101 PDFs. You got Udemy, you got YouTube. Like, use your data wisely. Don't just chat on social media, as much as I love to like go through Twitter and Facebook and the rest. Use YouTube for like very, very good things, like watching those kind of videos. And my advice for certifications, there are lots of certifications on coding, but my advice on certifications for coding is, if you have a real world application, if someone says, what have you done in coding, you can show them a web app. It summarizes you much more than someone that had 101 certifications. That's coding. For security, people ask me a lot, and I'm like, respond in terms of what I did my master's in security, so that was how I got in. But you could like do like Udemy courses, YouTube channels. I wrote this Udemy channel. It has quite good content. Cybersecurity, LinkedIn Learning, Linux Academy has very good courses as well, and they're quite free. In terms of certification, the CEH, I think the Certified Ethical Hacker is one that can be quite easy to get. The CISP is like the one that if you kind of had a bit of experience, so like 1 year experience-ish, it's 5 years is recommended, but if you've got like 1 year, 2 years, it's going to be very good. If you have a master's in information security, you can write the CISP as well. It's really good. And then cloud is like, cloud zone is, you can get the resources everywhere. Just fly out and get anything. AWS has free learning, Azure has free learning, Google has free, Coursera. Just go, and that one is free. The certifications are very cheap, like $200, $100. They're not ridiculous at all. They are not. In fact, it's easy to just fly in. That's this one, Cloud One, YouTube, like just flying and go and learn. It's one of the easiest way. And the same with like most of the data science and the rest. All very easy, all very straightforward, all very easy to just get into. As I said, IT is like super easy. It's like super easy to get into. Passion, your laptop and internet, and you're good to go. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I didn't blank.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much, IJ. Thank you very much. That was really good. And happy birthday once again. A lot of people have already wished you happy birthday on the chat. So thank you so much. That was very, very good. I'm sure a lot of people can testify to that. So I'm just going to be reading some questions. So there's some questions that I feel like she has already answered in the course of the presentation. So if you feel like, if I skip the question and you feel like it wasn't answered, so please raise it again, right? So the first question I can see here is, how can I effectively, Hamid says, how can I effectively transit into IT and recognize opportunities in this space? My core competence is data analytics. I feel like, okay, please go ahead.
Femi, please, I've been talking a lot, so.
Yeah, no, I feel like you've kind of covered it already. Like, really understand if it's, so it says, how can I effectively transit into IT and recognize opportunities in this space? My core competence is data analytics. If you're already learning data analytics, keep doing it and get into hands-on. Like, hands-on is very important. Build your portfolio. Like, that's what I would say. It's like you're building your credibility in that field. And like, I also combine that with Dara's question, which says, what does it take to get a job abroad, the UK from Nigeria? What will make you stand out? Is very similar. If you're already, whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you're doing your best at it. Make sure you're getting global certifications in it. Like that, this is one thing I love about IT, because there's no exam for Nigeria in IT. You know the way we do WIEC differently and they do GCSEs here? No. If you're AWS Solutions Architect certified, whether you did it in Nigeria or you did it in UK, we believe you have exactly the same skills. So I would say that focus on getting certifications that are globally recommended. Look at the kind of jobs that you want to apply for in the UK and check people that are already doing those jobs. Check the qualifications that they have and start preparing yourself for it. If you want to get a job abroad, your online presence is extremely important. Have your LinkedIn profile up to date and reach out to recruiters. See, this world, you can talk to anybody. There's no more limitation in terms of talking to people. So make sure you reach out to recruiters in that regard. So there's a question that this one will be answered by IJ. 1 second. I'm just trying to look for it. Okay, I think I've answered Hamid's question already. People are asking if the presentation can be sent. Yes, I'm going to send the video to everybody that registered. So be on the lookout for your email, and also check your spam if you don't get the email from me directly. Okay, so there's a question here from High Flyer. It says, good evening. What do you think someone from another field who has a flair for telecoms puts first in order to achieve the dream of becoming a telecom or IT professional?
Yeah, so for the telecom one, there are like very good courses like CCNA and the rest that kind of are pretty much telecom aligned, but it doesn't mean like those are like quite networking focused as well. But it doesn't mean that you can like kind of get into like things like cloud or big data or things like what streaming. Someone was talking about they are using like this internet video. She was doing all her PhD project and it was just something like very nice telecom into IoT. So yeah, Internet of Things, streaming, capturing live data and stuff like that. She was saying things. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know these things existed. So to be fair, like you can get in from telecoms to like using certifications routes to kind of get into any field you want to do, or using like free materials online to kind of get into any field you want to do. So like they are next gen thing. And as Wendy said, if you know you want to have this job, if this is what you want to become, and that's one of the best advice I ever got for my career to actually set me on pace. If I want to become this, I go and find out who are those that have it? What are the roles and responsibilities? What are the skill sets they want? Mm-hmm. And you go and start building up that. To be fair, before you kind of get to even half of the list, you probably would have started ascending your career journey. So if you want to be in telecoms, I want to go towards next gen telecoms things, go and find out all the new, by the way, some of these internet streaming things like Netflix and the rest, they all came out from telecoms, right? I was actually reading about something about how Netflix obtained one particular massive company, but it all came from there. It's like Netflix is actually a very massive telecom or video streaming with IT. MTN have like a lot to do with IT and product design and the rest. Their telecom companies are not just only transmitting signals for you to browse and make phone calls. They do.
Sorry to chip in also. I'm also a core network engineer in the telecom field. Currently, with this 5G that is coming in right now, I went for one training on 5G as at May last year. We were talking about cloud. So cloud also plays a major role. Every infrastructure that you have sitting in one data center or the other is going into the cloud. Everything is going to the cloud. The vast part, core network, everything is going into the cloud. So cloud also plays a major role. It will now be a game changer in the telecom industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. That was really good. Let me just go through. We have about 10 more questions, so we'll share it with you.
It's actually one of the biggest customers for AWS, by the way. So continue.
Okay. So we have one from Israela Olatunji. The question is, can organizations recognize certifications from the likes of Coursera? I've done some classes, but I'm always afraid to put it on my CV. Can I put them in my CV? What do you think, IJ?
put every single thing, like every dime counts. That's the idea. Every experience counts. Everything done. I wrote this. I actually they go some assignments, and I wrote this policy, this security policy. I did. It was my assignment. I put it there. It counts.
Your CV.
The truth is that your CV gets you into the door, and then you talk about your experience. Your CV should announce you. So when you get there, you can now start saying, "This is what I did. Actually, how I did it." You know, wait there.
Cool. Thank you so much. How can one be effective in tech in the please, can you go on mute if you're not speaking, please? Good evening. What do you think someone from another field who has a flair of, oh, okay, we've taken that already. How can one be effective in tech industry if one doesn't have a background knowledge? Okay, you know what? Yes. What do you think? If you don't have a background knowledge, how can one be effective? I can actually answer that because I came from a background of mechanical engineering, and I shared this in the last webinar. You know, it's all about, I would say your passion is very important, and your ability, your learning ability is very important. Like if you're willing to learn, for me, every IT skill I have, I've learned it on the job. One of my Scrum Master is on the call, Michelle. You know, he knows that I've always, when I joined Accenture, I literally did not have any IT skill, but I learned on the job. So if you don't have a background knowledge, passion is very important. Passion makes you push yourself beyond limits, whether you have that background knowledge or not. So I would say be passionate about it, commit yourself to learning, and make use of the resources that IJ has mentioned in this presentation. Someone says, Chinedu says, I'm currently doing a course in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Is this globally recognized or recommended?
In terms of like big players in cloud, I mean, Oracle used to be, but they're no longer. If you're doing it, it's still good, but to be fair, they're really not no longer. You can transfer. The thing about cloud is that it's transferable. So what you could do is to just kind of add an AWS or Azure or GCP. Those are like more like recognized, and they're the key players. They're like the going forward players. Oracle used to be quite some, but unfortunately, they are not. So I would suggest, like, unless you like, you know, someone said Oracle are still playing a big role in the banks, and that's so true. But you know, things moving forward, because we're talking about next gen IT, unless they up their game a little, it's going to be a base. So you have your Oracle knowledge, is still very good, but I would say try and add on one of the big other players. Just add it on. And yeah, by the way, you don't need to know only one cloud service provider. I do have GCP, I do have AWS, I have Azure. Know everything, right? If it's possible, know it.
Cool. Thank you so much, IJ. Another question here says, please, how can we apply today's teaching to the education sector? I feel like regarding, if we're going to go for sector specific things, like there are going to be other webinars coming up, and I'm going to tell you guys about it. So don't worry, just be on the lookout for emails regarding different sectors. But yeah, there are going to be other things coming up that might be a lot more applicable to what you're doing right now. So somebody also asked a question, for somebody interested in robotics and computer vision, what courses do you recommend? I would recommend that you check on Udemy as well, like check on all these platforms. IJ, do you have anything to say for robotics and computer vision? Because those are not my areas, so.
Yeah, I check on Udemy, yeah, on all those, Coursera, and then big data and artificial intelligence will probably be one of the easiest way to get in.
Cool. I'm passionate about cloud. How easy is it to get a job after finishing those certifications, knowing fully well that companies look out for experience? Like, let me say something about this before IJ answers. Like, that's from, I can't remember. Okay, JT. Yeah. One thing I would say is that, yes, companies look out for experience, but also like IT companies, the way I'm beginning to see the trends is that they are being a lot more flexible and looking for people that can learn, because technology keeps changing. So technology keeps changing. Like before you know it, we're talking about cloud now. We don't know whether in the next 10 years, it's not even cloud again. Maybe it's going to be something like heavens. I don't know, but something beyond the cloud. Who knows? You know, so technology companies are becoming really flexible in their approach of recruiting. But one thing they want to see is that you have a track record. So anything that you're learning right now, don't feel like it's a waste, because that might just be what will usher you to the next job. They might just be like, if this guy, without knowing anything about the cloud, he was able to spend his own personal time and learn about the cloud, it means that even this new technology that is coming up tomorrow, he can learn it. So your past behavior predicts your future behavior. And that's what a lot of recruiters look for these days. Like if they see that you're someone that is willing to learn with the little resources that you had, you were able to grow some things. Trust me, like that won't stop you. Like not knowing a particular technology should not stop you from getting a job if you're already building your credibility, you know.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I actually started out with certifications in cloud before I got like core cloud. So certifications in cloud enabled me to do more cloud. I remember cloud, one of the things about cloud too is that they have free quotas, like AWS, Azure, GCP, they have free quotas that you can play around with, at least for the first 1 year. So utilize that. So, you know, you can learn cloud without necessarily paying anything. That's the idea. So if you have those certifications, it's so easy to get into the door because someone's like, oh yeah, she's tried. I think she's gone to learn a bit. You know, they don't actually, you know, remember what we're talking about core traditional IT and next gen. Most of the people in traditional IT are not necessarily, they don't really know much of this cloud. They're actually pretty scared. I talked to someone and he's had like over 20 years in experience, bless his heart. And he was like, I don't really know about this cloud thing. I don't want to put my hands into it. So they are very scared. So if you have someone that actually has an idea, they kind of listen to you.
Right, that's good. But the point is keep progressing and advancing. Like whatever it is that you have right now, keep building on it. Keep becoming a better person, right? Keep learning more. Okay, so there's another question that says, what's your core strength in security? What master skills can you boast about in the field? IJ.
That's interesting though. But I think for me in security, my core strength is listening to the client, finding out what they really need, not what they're shouting they want to do, and solving that problem. So listening to the person, because sometimes, you know, assuming someone has a breach, you know, it's like, oh my God, everything's happening. Yeah, but maybe that's not why you had a breach. Maybe you need to calm down a bit. So listening to them, find out what they really need, not just what they're shouting that, you know, is happening now, and helping them solve that problem. So solving their problem. Problem solving is one of the key things in security, but listening and understanding what they need, not just what they want, is really important.
I really like the fact that you've mentioned that, IJ, because just for everyone to know as well, like even as much as you have technical skills, like your soft skills are super important as well. Like I'm going to be doing another webinar on soft skills where we'll be talking about that. So you can see that the first thing IJ said was not even, oh, my cloud security certification is my biggest skill. It's actually listening. So that soft skill is very important. The next question by Zainab says, as said earlier in the introduction, I already have a CCNA, but I have issues choosing between security and cloud. I also tried coding, but it always gets boring, so I don't continue. I need your advice. Thanks.
Oh my God. You should really ask CCNA. So, okay, so I would say that you don't need to choose between two. You can literally like try out security and try out cloud and find out which one you prefer. Right? Security and cloud are not two different things. When I say I went to cloud, doesn't mean I'm doing cloud security. That's what I kind of mean. So you could do like security doesn't need coding, cloud does not need coding. Cloud actually needs more networking than coding, to be fair. So try out. You can try out cloud, you can try out security. Cloud, you can easily get into it. Security can easily get into it. Try out what you think you like. If you don't feel coding is your thing, you don't really need to do coding. In fact, cloud actually needs more networking, to be fair.
Right. Thank you so much, IJ. Someone says, how does one start from scratch to become professional cloud engineers? This was covered in the last webinar, and you know, maybe we might send the link of the two to everyone so that you can see it. But you know, yeah, I would just say that so that we can go over other questions. So yeah, Michelle talked about having a good mentor is very, very important in your career journey as well. Would you be kind enough to guide a passionate learner like me? That's what we're currently doing. What do you guys think? Isn't that okay?
I'm sorry, baby, I just want to don't underestimate mentorship. Mentorship doesn't mean the person needs to be like 100 years older, 10 years in the industry. No, like for me, I have mentor at every level. I don't know if Ebon is in the call, but Ebon said she was going to join anyway. But Ebon was like my getting mentor into Accenture. She's been like a very good mentor on promotion. How do you get to the next level? What do you need to do now? I do have a mentor that is a senior manager. I have a mentor that is a manager. I have a mentor that is a managing director. I have mentors at every level. So mentors don't mean one person. It doesn't mean the person must be old. It can be a young person who you feel has gone ahead and you just want to hear them. They must even be in your field, by the way. They can be anywhere. Just feel they have a very good career track and you want to go like that. That's
cool. Thank you so much, IJ. There's another question that says, what is a junior security analyst role like in Accenture? And do you have any personal mentorship as a mentee experience? So I guess you kind of covered that already, but the question says, what is a junior security analyst role like in Accenture?
And that's the beauty of Accenture, women, isn't it? Like, it ranges from a lot of stuff. So I started out as, I did Python code in my first role. It was super, it was just like mad Python, data science Python. And it was because I was trying to code for an application that we were going to test, right? And I moved from there and I did cloud security, a strategy, policy kind of stuff. And then moved from there to segregation of duty, checking out who has more access than what. And I moved back again to cloud and moved again to AWS. So it's like a bit of, Accenture is one company, it's a consulting company, which most consulting firms tend to be like, which is you can do different things, you can try out different things. They don't push you out there. Bold. You can talk with clients, you can find, I think the problem solving is really key, because to be fair, regardless of what your 101 knowledge of security, if you don't know how to talk with the client and understand what they need and provide solutions they are looking for, you're not making sense. So it's kind of a bit, it's not very strict and rigid like you probably have as a security person in a bank or something like that, but you kind of like can learn from different things.
Thank you so much, IJ. Okay, one other question. So there are some questions I'm going to reply in as chats if it's, a short one. Hamid also asks, I work with the HR department in my company and I handle the little IT access and archive of documents within my department. We have Indians everywhere in my company and I don't know where to start IT career. Please, where do I start from? This one too, I would say that this will be answered if you watch the last webinar. So I'm going to send the link out because we talked about how do you start from scratch when you don't know anything. So please look out for my email, having the link to that. Now, Sunday asked a question, beyond just reading and learning how DevOps tools work, how can one show an evidence that you're competent to deliver? Is it just presenting a certification? In Nigeria, ideas sometimes during an interview, they don't value it. Yeah, I mean, let me say something a little bit before IJ comes on that. Beyond just reading and learning how DevOps tools work, how can one show an evidence that you're competent to deliver? The best way is actually to deliver yourself. Like, literally, what I mean by that is this, like, if you look at online courses these days, like, there's some courses that are really telling you things like I sent a cloud DevOps course to somebody recently. I think it was a course on Udacity. And literally what that course was all about was how you master DevOps by doing hands-on projects. So you're actually applying DevOps as you're learning. Those are the kind of courses that I recommend for people. Don't do theory alone. See, we've already done enough theory in uni, and especially if you're schooled in Nigeria, and it didn't really help most of us. Any course that will not give you hands-on experience, I would say that DevOps, for example, is not something that you just read in a book. Like, I can't even imagine if I spent the last 1 year reading about DevOps, if I would understand what I'm doing now. Like, I had to throw myself and start doing DevOps. That was how I learned DevOps, on the job. So in IT is a field that you learn by doing. It's like apprenticeship, if I can put it that way. In Nigeria, we know the way mechanics work, right? As a mechanic, as a junior mechanic, nobody is telling you that, oh, go and read this book. They are going to put you, go and fix the engine, open the bonnet. Oh yeah, remove this screw. That's the way IT field is as well. Like, you learn by doing. Like, make sure that you're doing practical projects. Don't do theory. Don't just read books. If you cannot see how you can apply that thing to directly do something hands-on, build a website, or do something on AWS, then you should actually consider doing a different course. So I would say that, and once you do that, that's how you build competence. So when you're telling them in your interview, you're not telling them that, oh, I read about DevOps, so DevOps is actually the combination of development and operation. No, that's not what you're saying. You're saying, I applied DevOps to this banking project that I was given when I was taking this course on Udacity. That's how you build competence, because you're telling them what you've done, not what you've read. So doing is more important than reading in IT. I would say, okay, so, IJ, do you want to add anything to that while I look for the
No, just let's continue to the next step.
Baby, please keep us updated. The soft skills part, yes, I will keep you updated. I missed the last webinar, yes, I'll send it to you. Please do, okay, so someone asks, please, do you have the urge to learn almost everything at once? How do you handle it to ensure you are focused on one at a time? Oh my God, this is a very good question, and that applies to me. I love this question so much. See, so for me, I came into IT without having a lot of knowledge. And DevOps is actually a field that requires a lot of skills. You need to know coding, you need to know cloud, you need to know so many things. And because I love learning, like I literally was pushing myself too hard at some point, wanting to learn everything at the same time. And that's where mentorship comes in. And I remember sometimes, you know, Michelle is on the call right now. He would tell me that, see, you're pushing yourself too hard. Like, you know, just take it one step at a time. You already know data stacks, you know, build up on that. So I would say that, yes, I actually have that urge to want to learn a lot, especially because I always feel like, oh my God, I don't know, let me learn. But what I would say is that make a list. So what I've done personally is to make a list of all the skills I want to have. Just like, you know, the way they do it in secondary school, like you actually have subjects, social studies, business studies, and all of that. You know, you can decide that you want to learn one skill at a time, finish it up before going on to something else. Or you can decide that you want to move them in bits. But regardless of how you want to do it, understand that you need to pace yourself. Becoming an expert is not something you do overnight. These are things I covered in the last webinar too as well. Like becoming an expert takes time. Don't be hard on yourself. Like you need to pace yourself. Have a list. Know that if you're not, so what you can do, like I said, have a list of all the skills you want to learn. Okay, I want to learn DevOps, I want to learn cloud, I want to learn AWS. As you're learning AWS, if you feel that urge that you want to start learning, you know, something DevOps, tell yourself that DevOps is for March, it's not for January, you know. So you need to put that control on yourself and make sure that, you know, you're not pushing yourself too hard. IJ, do you want to add something?
Yeah, actually, one of the things I would advise, if you can get a 5-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 1
Awesome.
you break it down. It helps a lot. I've gotten, I think, four certifications from November to now because I have a plan. I'm not running. I'm not hitting everywhere. I'm moving from here to here to here. I have like maybe 5 more this year. You know, it's like a plan I'm going with, and I'm steady. I'm just like, this is the next thing. This is the next thing. It's building up on this. It's building up on this. I'm going to use it here. Have a plan. If you have a plan, it will help you, like, you know, gather your thoughts together and gather your attention at one place.
Precisely. Thank you so much. Oluwatoyin asked this question. I can see everyone talking about cloud security, etc. But my interest is drawn towards programming. I'm presently on React.js after JavaScript, but I've not gotten any internship position yet. Any advice, please? We have advice for you. IJ, please.
Yeah, so in terms of that, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, use your React.js, use to build a web application. You keep doing it. Do it in such a way that regardless of whenever you get in there, because one of the things I realized when I now focus on jobs, I was focusing on like, oh, let me try and get this coding job. But when I now said, okay, you know what, let me focus on building my dad's website, I got 2 jobs. I literally got like, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to get to Andela. I need to get all those jobs, like went into the smaller ones. I would say, keep doing what you're doing, keep applying, and just make sure that you're building something practical and be adding whatever thing you're doing in your CV. Just say, I built this today. I made this interact with it. You know, you can make CV look, maybe when in another session, you can talk about CVs, right? You can make CV look really based on what you've done. And you're not overselling yourself. You're just saying what you've done.
Yeah, precisely. Thank you so much, IJ. So Toyin, please, programming is excellent. Make sure you keep doing it. Don't feel like everybody needs to do different things. So I need that DevOps course link as well. Ariyo Adeshegun. Okay. Colin says, how do I start in cybersecurity? What's the step-by-step for beginner? I think IJ, you've kind of covered that already, but
the resources will guide, so yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, resources are very good for that. Is there a group chat for this movement by Ariyo Adeshegun? Okay, that's a very good question. Well, not yet, but we're trying to build a community of professionals, you know, around this. So very soon something will come up. I would say that. Let me just put it like that. Where is something? Someone asked a question. Are there opportunities some could volunteer to acquire practical experience?
Definitely. My first job was 30,000 naira with me. I mean, I could have actually gone for 0 at that point because I really wanted to like just jump in. Most of the startup companies tend to not have so much budget. If you want to earn like 150K, 170K after school, maybe KPMG, PwC might be your stuff. But some of these startup, one of the places where I'll give you opportunities might not really have so much money. So I have to stay with my aunts then for 1 year. So you might stay with someone just so you can cover up, but the experience will matter so much more than the money at that time.
Okay, so we actually need to wrap up now as we have just 1 minute left. Oh yes, Ebu says cybersec.org is a good website to see entry-level pathways in cybersecurity. Thank you so much. I think we can add that to the resources
Yes.
before sending it out. Yes, so thank you so much, Ebu. Ebu is also a very experienced cybersecurity consultant. I would have her one of these days as well to share experience. Okay, so how can I leverage GDPR experience to enter into cybersecurity space, and what should I highlight on my CV? Okay, Ebu's answers that already. What do you think someone from another field who has a flair for chemicals puts first in order to? We already answered this question. So during the replay, you'll see the answer to that. So we have now come to the end of this webinar session, and we would like to hear your feedback. Let us know how it was for you. And this is the point where everybody unmutes themselves and say how the webinar was for them. And you also put it in the chat box as well. I'll send out the link to the video and also possibly attach the presentation so that you can see it. So please make sure you apply this knowledge, and for upcoming webinars, I'll send you emails telling you about what we're going to do. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much for your time. Let us know how the webinar was, and we would also keep you posted on every upcoming thing that we have in store for you. IJ, thank you so much. So please unmute yourself.
It was a very